Loud. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We are talking about unlocking the secrets of love astrology today. And I have my colleague and friend, Anna Poirier, and we are going to kick this off. Anna has been using healing modalities of yoga, Ayurvedic, health coaching, energy medicine, mind body alchemy, Taoism, and astrology in her workshops, retreats, classes, private practice for 3 decades, committed to guiding others to their personal path towards positive evolution. She's the co-author of the best-selling book, Turning Points, the creator of Reveal Your Radiance Code, and a contributor to the Holistic Fashionista magazine. And Anna is grateful to have worked with celebrities and change makers at the Post Ranch Inn and internationally. And in her time off, you can find her hiking, dancing, enjoying the ocean, and feeding her addiction to the local farmers market. I can relate to that. And Anna's going to introduce me if you don't know me.
Yeah, because this invitation did go out to my audience. So hopefully some of you will be joining us for that. And, Danielle is a certified relationship and couples coach. And she helps couples who are consistently triggering each other stop and course correct and move towards a more loving, respectful, and connected relationship. Danielle helps couples who are on the brink of divorce save their relationship. She coaches clients on how to communicate more effectively, heal past wounds, love better, and establish healthier relational dynamics that draw couples closer together and grow deeper love. And who doesn't want that?
And so what's really cool about this union of Anna and I is that we're going to combine her expertise in love astrology with relationship coaching. And it's going to be really fun. This is the first time we've done this together. So I'm really looking forward to what's to unfold. So quick overview. If you've ever wondered if your charts hold the key to a thriving relationship, that's why you might be here. We're going to explore your unique astrological makeup and how that can impact your love life. You're going to discover why knowing your chart matters. It's really the secret sauce to a deeper connection. And you're going to learn the art of navigating challenges before they really explode or escalate into a relationship storm clouds. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. And if we don't catch them, feel free to just repost, copy and paste in the chat again. Before we get started, we just want to kind of take the pulse on where you're from, where you're calling in, where you're, I guess, streaming in from, where in the world. So just jot that in the chat as well. So Anna, take it away.
Thank you so much. And I really, I want to open just by saying that I believe in I believe in sort of the nature of the universe and how it all it brings us together in different ways. And I feel, that my intention for this is honoring kind of a magical synchronicity that Danielle and I have had in reconnecting after many, many years. And also honoring that you, the viewer, the participant, the audience member, the community member that's here, you also kind of magically fell into this, and that I really feel like this is going to give you some interesting, unique, different, and also very purposeful and supportive information and ideas and new ways of looking at things, and specifically your relationship. Even if you're not in a relationship or in a primary, partnership, that's really, it's even going to feed your relationship to yourself, which Danielle and I I know are very much on the same page if we are talking about love, that it's going to start there. So that said, I'm going to give you like a little primer in my methodology, how I approach love astrology. This is very much my original mentor in astrology. I was coursed in her methodology of life path astrology. And then I started working with couples in this relational field. And that I said, this is like the love path. This is the path of the love relationship, that third entity, the individual, and then their love path. So this, the idea with love astrology is that we're looking at two individuals and their unique blueprint through the lens of astrology. I'm going to take a step back even further. Yeah, what were you going to say?
I just love that. Like, you really described like the individuals and then this love path that is this third piece.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Life of its own.
Right. And it does. And that's what happens when you bring two charts together. And you can even, there's different ways to look at it. I'm not going to get into all the weeds today, but we can even layer the charts on top or kind of look at them side by side. And literally it's like two energy fields dancing together. And typically I would say 99.9% of the time, I am working from their birth charts. And I want to take a step back and just say, like, what is your birth chart? Because some of you may be here and you're like, I don't really know. I've read my horoscope, right? And I think it's important to understand that it's a lot more than your horoscope, a lot more than that. And your birth chart essentially is I collect data from my clients or whoever I'm working with, or when I'm working with a group, and then we put it into a easy little data system, and then it gives us a complete view, your blueprint, your astrological blueprint, which is literally a snapshot of the exact time that you were born. And that's the sky. That was the sky. That's where things were. That's where the planets were. That's where the moon was. That's what, And then we use that, and there is, any of you who dive into astrology, endless information inside of there. Like, it's not like, great, I had one reading and now I get the whole, no, it's endless. There's a lot of layers, and they continue to evolve, just like your relationship. And so, and just like you do. So it's all those moving parts and pieces. Now, astrology itself is based in, yes, the study of the planets, the stars, the galaxy, those types of systems that are closest to us. We're obviously not using other solar systems that we aren't a part of, that we know of. And so it's based in science, and it's also based in psychology. And I will say, and this is why it's beautiful that Danielle and I are working together, because, and I shared this with her when we first spoke, is that Sigmund Freud would actually, when he was stuck with a client, he would pull out their chart. He would pull out their astrology chart, because he'd be like, okay, I gotta look at, what's going on here. And then there's also the intuitive, interpretive component. And that's, obviously where I step in as an astrology reader, that I'm interpreting, I'm intuiting, I'm feeling into the energies, because that's really what it is energies. I also just want to say that it's not predictive. Yes, there may be some astrologers who will say that, or who will kind of use it in that way. It's much better at looking back and going, this would have indicated, the death of a parent or something like that. But the reason I say it's not predictive is because we always have as we learn about our chart, our partner's chart, it's actually like, how do we use the energies? Because that psychological piece is about archetypes. And 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 those archetypes have what I call higher expressions and lower expressions. So this is a way to empower yourself as you gain deeper knowing and make decisions that can, or maybe certain energies can validate. As you learn more, you're validated in things that you feel, but you're like, I don't know, you kind of doubt them. And it reveals certain things to you. And it also allows, I've heard this so many times from clients, like it gives them permission. It gives them permission on something they've felt, but they're not clear. So the other thing is the objectivity of it, because you're looking at a chart, you're looking at these planets and these moon and, you know, the sun and all of that star, which is a star. And it can offer a level of objectivity, which I find is really helpful sometimes, especially when you're dealing with couples and relationship. But even with yourself, you know, and like you can kind of lighten it up a little bit, like, oh, that must be my moon, ha ha ha, you know, like that's my moon in Aquarius, which is what and then we, you know, obviously when we're looking at two different charts, when I'm looking at, there's the compatibility, and I use that in quotations because compatibility, there are sort of innate energies that tend to be in the realm of compatibility, you know, like that, of course, like inevitably, that's almost the first question I get when I sit down with a couple for the first time.
How compatible are we?
How compatible are we? Are we compatible? And there are certain markers that are considered to be what I call textbook compatible. This has to do with the elements. I'm not going to get deep into that right now. But there's 4 elements: air, water, fire, and earth. And so depending on how these work together, there's certain, like, a little bit more harmoniousness. Now, if there's less textbook compatibility, does that doom and gloom? Because sometimes that friction lends itself, as long as you're on board to learn and grow, it actually can be helpful rather than getting too complacent and too like, well, it's all just kind of easy, so I'm going to kick back. And then all of a sudden something comes out of nowhere and takes you by surprise. So we'll probably talk about that more. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it right now, but
and our next call, I believe, on it is about compatibility. So she'll jump more into that. So stay tuned. We're just overview as to, you know, what is love astrology,
what to expect, what to enjoy. Yeah. And that said, I'll just, as a little aside, please join us for, you know, we'll be here. What we have 4 opportunities to connect. We're going to keep going deeper. And, you know, and we'll also have some really fun and wonderful ways to go even deeper and more personalized, which, you know, both of us are really excited about. So you know, and I feel something I just wanted to talk about here as we're introducing this full idea is, and kind of like 3 steps, 3 stages to the love astrology map, so to say, which is number 1, understanding yourself. And this is, again, this is through the lens of astrology. So your chart is a portal into deeper understanding and awareness of who you are, of all these parts, and because all the planets that are present and where they are, what astrological sign rules them, what house they land in, these are parts of you. So you're way more than your sun sign. That's why I said way more than your horoscope, which is your sun sign. You'll read it and you'll probably be like, yeah, that kind of resonates a bit, like, but how could I be exactly like every other Leo out there? You know, that doesn't lend itself to very much uniqueness, so to say, and taking that into consideration. So all of the so each chart is so different. So it's starting to understand yourself and starting to understand the energies and how you might want to or already are expressing the energies. Are they more in the higher or the lower? Whenever we bring awareness to something, in yoga, they say where energy flows, or what is it? I don't know.
Right.
I can't remember what.
Yeah.
Where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
So the more you start to understand and have awareness, you can direct your energy in that way. When we're more unconscious, it's harder to do that when we just aren't as aware.
Yeah.
So
it's about awareness, right, Anna? Like your chart helps to bring your gifts forward of what the energies that you already carry.
yeah.
It just shines a light on those energies. And I often find for my own, it's a validation of what I know about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we're going to be doing a demo with my chart on the last call. Anna's going to go deep in that. So
That'll be fun.
I'll give you a little tidbit, but I find it interesting because in the love astrology, you're able to look at the partner's energies that he or she carries as well. And then how do those energies, like you said, work together? And what are some of the obstacles that there might be in those energies blending together? And not to use it as like, oh, we're perfect together and complacency, but how to bring about more awareness is what I'm hearing from you. It really shines a light on awareness. And with awareness, we get to make choices.
Exactly. And like you said, it can help you to understand your gifts. And then it can also help you to understand how you may need to navigate challenges and wounds and emotional physical needs. And this is too where step number one of understanding yourself first is like, what kind of self-care do you need to do? I'm really big on that. I have an extensive background in health and nutrition and holistic healing and all of that. So the gift of that is that I really get to also help my clients with kind of like the practical, tangible, physical, even body oriented stuff. Obviously self-care extends beyond just the body, but that can be a really big piece, their health, on all levels. So being able to understand that is really, it's important. And it's from astrology, it's going to look different for different people. Those emotional needs, those physical needs, those mental, spiritual, all of it. And then, step number two is starting to understand your partner through the astrological lens. And that's where now you're okay, like, I understand myself a little bit better. Now I'm starting to understand them. And again, this is where that objectivity can be really magical, because all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, my moon is here and his moon is there. And like, that explains a lot. And it can sometimes really allow you to give more grace to each other. And I've felt that I've definitely had this in myself and also with people I've worked with.
And what does the moon tell us, Anna? Just so viewers.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that for
we're
sure.
Gonna go deep.
Yeah, and the moon is, I think, I don't want to say it's the most important, but it is one of the more important components in intimate relationship, for sure. Any more intimate relationship, because it has to do with what you need on a deeper level emotionally. It has to do with how you may get triggered. It has to do with how you may react from the standpoint of when there is something that's more emotional, but it also is the emotional motivation. What keeps you on your path? What keeps you emotionally connected? So this is not just in the context of relationship, but when I do life path readings too, this is like if you're in a position of following your soul's calling, like you're not interested in just, having any old job that you're, bored with just to pay the bills and living like, I'm not saying anything negative about that, but if you're on more of a, I want to follow my soul's mission, you have to stay emotionally motivated. I mean, this is like step number one.
And
this is a lot too, where the self-care comes in, to understand what do I need to keep myself emotionally regulated too. So that's, and how you give and receive love on a deeper level is your moon. So that's kind of a little bit of the synopsis. I mean,
that's exciting.
Of what the moon offers. And it's an important one. And I've seen it. Yeah, I've just seen the transformation when you can really understand this. And obviously, as you start to understand yourself and then your partner, then you see like, how do the energies combine? How might they interact in certain situations? How can I honor the differences that are there, that I may feel that I may need to be really communicative? My moon says I'm really communicative emotionally. His is that he needs to go like have a run. This is just different ways. And then you can start to figure out, well, how do we bring it together? Oh, okay, you need to have a run, but then we can maybe talk about it, or you need a couple of days, and that, so whatever it is, that's really the potency when you start to get to know it. And then there is, with astrology, depending on what your belief systems are, I mean, I don't always go into this, it just depends on my clients, but there are these karmic roles that we as individuals are here to play out, from maybe other lifetimes, if you believe in that, or just simply something that we came here to work through. And so sometimes this is happening in the context, very often it can be happening through the avenue of relationship. And then again, through that understanding, well, do I want to learn the lesson and move on, or do I want to keep having to go back into it? And that doesn't always mean moving on to another relationship. That can just mean moving to a different stage of the relationship with the same person. Or, yes, depending on what that cycle has to do with, maybe moving on to somebody else. Particularly if you've met up with that sticky point. But I'm a believer in, can we work through this? Of course, then, do it. And step number 3 is really that it offers the astrology as you continue to learn, as you continue to grow, which is just a little seed I'm going to plant with what Danielle and I will be bringing forward. Has a certain continuity, a longevity to it, which I think is really conducive to this, because there's a continuing evolution and a growth that sometimes if you only have, like a couple of couples astrology sessions, or a couple of, relationship coaching sessions, but your relationship's going to continue to grow and evolve. And so that finite period is going to certainly going to offer you something, but it's, I think that ability to continue to dive in and really explore, and that, there was something also, there is because of the objectivity, what I love, and I hear from my clients a lot, is like how much they enjoy talking about what they're learning together, if I have a reading with them, and then they have like, they're sort of, they can talk about this like, oh, and they hear things differently. And so it really fosters a certain level of deepening intimacy inside of the relationship, just that in and of itself, the
Definitely.
curiosity.
The curiosity, that's huge in every relationship.
And definitely. And it's non-confrontational again, because you're sort of talking about the charts, right? Like, so it's nice, and it can really offer such a unique and validating way to do the individual and the couple's work, so to say. So I think this is, yeah, that's just what I'm most juiced up about right now in this moment.
Amazing. And it's just so fun to collaborate because it's so interesting to hear it from the astrological perspective. And then, you know, one of the things that Anna and I talked about before we decided to do this was how these two tools work really nicely together, because just because your charts say hypothetically you're not compatible, there's ways that you can learn to cooperate and work really well together as a team. It doesn't mean that just because it's showing maybe some challenges, would you say, Anna, some maybe conflicting points in the chart, that it's being able to be, maybe this is an opportunity for us to learn how to work even better together. Maybe this is an opportunity for us to get some more skills so that we can navigate some of these obstacles that we may have in our chart and that we can relate to as they come up.
Exactly, because it's offering you free will. In this day and age, we have free will. We're not being told that, you know, like back in the day when financially a woman had to get married, she could not work and support herself. She had to get married. And I'm totally neutral. I'm not going to I'm not offering out an opinion about that, but it's just that, or, people got married to sustain a certain a business, or, whatever it was, that was arranged marriages. They still do that in some parts of the world.
Right.
And I will say that they use astrology for those arranged marriages, some of those cultures, because that way they can hopefully have as much harmoniousness as possible, so that because they're arranged and they're not having free will, but we have free will, most of us who are here, if you're watching this, so you're choosing. So like in that way, yeah, like it's not gonna be like a picture perfect thing. And honestly, even if it was, that doesn't mean anything. That still means we have to have free will, and we have to put the intention and the energy into it.
Yes, absolutely.
Regardless.
Yeah, and that's where we really found the synergy, is like, why don't you, talk about the love astrology aspect of this, and then how do we navigate that once we have that knowing? How do we go from knowing and the awareness to, okay, how do we do the coaching part of that element? So that's what I'm going to talk with Anna. Did you want to say anything else, or do we want to segue?
No, I think go ahead. It's perfect.
That was fascinating. And are you okay for time, Anna? I know we're at 3:30 now. Are you okay to go?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So normally we're going to keep this to about 30 minutes, but I think we're flexible in the sense of we may sometimes be a little longer than 30 minutes. Is that okay with you, Anna?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, we want you to be able to engage a little bit too, if you're here watching and have questions. And yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's hard for us to actually run this and check the chat, but we'll do our best. So bear with us. And if not, what we can do is put our emails below in the comments once this gets posted, and you can to us that way as well. So we're going to talk about, say it comes up that you're not, not as compatible as, you'd like to be, or you're having some challenges in your relationship. I want to talk about how to navigate some challenges before they escalate, and what are some of the components that we need to tools that we want to be able to access when we're having challenges in our relationship. So the first thing we need to understand, though, is the stage of relationship that we're in. And I talk a lot about the stages because a lot of us, and I didn't know this before I got into this work, didn't know that there were stages of relationship. So we're going to look at the 3 stages of relationship, and most of the challenges come up in the second stage of relationship. So the first stage of relationship is the one that we all enjoy. It's that exciting love. It's the falling in love. You want to run to the rooftops and share, this person with the world, right? And how much you're enjoying your time with this person. And there's all these hormones flying through your system. We've all been there, right? That's the honeymoon or the falling in love stage. It's stage 1. And then we start to notice, and we start to have some conflicts come up, and we start to become more triggered, and we act out these behaviors such as criticizing our partner, which then triggers our partner, and they might withdraw from the relationship. And when they withdraw, then we start to get triggered, and then we start to criticize more. And so those are just an example of how we get in this perfect storm. And that's usually after we've made a commitment, 6 months or so, or if we've decided to move in together. It's whenever we have made a commitment to really go all in. And then stage 3 is really about rising in love. You start to work through, and often relationships, by the way, start to end at stage 2. They start to end because we think it's the only option to be able to survive. It becomes too maybe unbearable at times, but there are ways to work through it so we can rise in love and really deepen our love. And that's really addressing childhood wounds and traumas, as well as learning how to be a better team, how to cooperate with each other, not fight each other, but start looking at the problem and fighting the problem or addressing the problem. And also, as Anna had mentioned, communication styles, right, in the chart. But how do we become more effective communicators? How do we start to access and really develop and become more skillful at communication? So she had given the example of, I need a bike ride, and then the other person really wants to talk, and then being able to set that time aside. And what do you do with that time? How do you learn to actually be more effective communicators and listen and really be understood, and really lead with trying to understand your partner? And what does that look like? So those are all tools and skills to be able to do that. And when we're talking about, say, the falling in love stage, that early on phase, we really want to establish what's called, and even if you're in the stage 2, it's okay. We can reestablish this, but establishing a thriving foundation. So relationships really need to be able to be set up on a solid foundation. And I'm going to have you think of it, and this is the work of Dr. Stan Tacton, who is a very well-known couples psychologist. And he has a triangle. And at the bottom of the triangle is the shared purpose. And that's really where we have the same things to gain and to lose. So if we know you win, Anna, and I lose, then that's not a shared purpose, because she needs to win in order for me to win. And I need to win in order for her to win. So we need to have mutual stakeholders. We need to have a shared purpose, and that be the foundation of our triangle. And we need to be equals in that way. And then
I love that, because it's like the life path, right? It's like the life path. It's the life purpose. Like what I had said about the life
yes.
path of love relationship. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we have the same things to gain and lose. And if we don't learn how to work better together and cooperate better, the shared purpose fails. And our dream. And so we have to agree to be fully on board. And that's what I work a lot with my couples, is how do we get you on board? Like, you can't sit back and think, I'm going to try. We have to be able to say, you know what? I see if I lose and you win, we don't have a shared purpose. So then we take it to the next layer of the triangle, which is the shared vision. And that's, where do we want to be as a couple? Where is our North Star? What are we shooting for? Some people have the kids. I want my daughter to learn to have the best relationship when she's of age. If she's a child, we've got to be the best leaders of our relationship so she can learn what that looks like. That's a shared vision, an example of a shared vision. And where do we want to be individually? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up to this relationship? These are all points of choice and in that shared vision. And then at the top of that little top of the triangle is the sacred, what I call sacred relationship agreements. Dr. Stan Tacton calls them governing principles of the relationship. I just like sacred relationship agreements because they are sacred for the relationship and holding that relationship together in a sacred way. And that means, how do we protect each other from each other? Meaning, when things get heated, how do I know you have my back? How do I know that you're going to make sure that the relationship is kept safe and that we maintain the trust? We have to have agreements. One of the agreements is, we put the relationship first. That doesn't mean that all things go to hell in a handbasket. That means in order for us to be good, we need to be the leaders of our relationship for our children. If they know we're good and we've got it, they can feel safe. So we need to be able to put our relationship first. And then I want to share with you 5 interventions that really help couples to navigate challenges before they escalate. So we want to really move from how do we survive in this relationship to how do we thrive in this relationship? What are some of the interventions that we're going to be talking about over the next 4 sessions, remaining 4 sessions that we're doing too? And that's really looking at fighting the problem and not each other. That is about learning how to cooperate. So how do we cooperate with each other better? How do we learn to, again, that also ties in to that shared purpose, because in order to be able to have Anna win and have me win, we need to learn how to cooperate to make that happen.
I think there's also that objectivity that comes in there as well, which is helpful, when especially things are heated.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sensitive.
What did you say, Anna?
I said, and feeling sensitive, potentially.
Absolutely. And I think that's also where learning how to cooperate better, where also the charts come into play. Because wouldn't you say that's true, Anna, from your perspective, is being able to cooperate better if we know our partner's chart and our partner knows our chart? It gives insight to our inner world. And being able to, from that perspective, learning how to cooperate in that way a little bit better, because there's more awareness around our partner's inner world.
And I think it also offers a certain level of compassion often too.
Yes. Yes.
You start to see, like, you have the self-compassion because you're like, oh, that may be why XYZ for myself. Oh, and that might be why XYZ for my partner.
And it creates a better understanding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Understanding. And when we are in heated moments or navigating challenges, I know it's against, because it's not what we learned growing up. It's like we're trying to have excellent relationships. But when do any of us remember, and maybe some of you are the 3 to 10% out there, but when do we remember our being in a heated conversation with our family members, or our family members being angry at us, and they stop and they just say, wait a minute, I want to hear your side of things. What's happening with you right now? Very few of us. It's about 3 to 10%. Now people can learn this, but you know, we get in relationships, and unless we've had some of this training, we don't know how to do that. We end up just defending our own positions usually. So being able to seeking to understand before being understood, really being able to say, hey, Anna, you know, what's happening on your side over there? I really, you know, you seem upset. Is that true for you? And if so, like, you know, what can you share a little bit more about what's going on? Leading from that place of regardless of your chart, being able to be able to do that is going to help move from really things blowing out of control into being more manageable and actually growing deeper connection, growing more in love, and growing more connected. Also, the research has shown is through the Gottman Institute, actually, that setting aside connection time, 10 minutes a day, up to an hour and a half a week, has really helped people to clear up the bumps and not hold everything in and then have an explosion, right? So if we can clean up daily, it's like doing meditation. We're cleaning out the clutter. If you clean out the clutter of your, and cleaning out the stress and things like that, but cleaning out the clutter of your relationship, you're less likely to feel resentful, holding on to things, and then all of a sudden feeling like you need a all-out explosion to express what is going on. But if you have those 10-minute daily check-ins, you're really able to start to work through things in real time. The other intervention is hiring a coach. Often if we want to get from a place of where we are to where we want to be in our relationship is a great way to expedite that process, because your coach has a pathway forward to course correct, and give you the tools and help you navigate where you are. So that's another way, if you're not the only way, but another way to start to navigate challenges before they escalate. And then the fifth one is your willingness to grow yourself individually as well as relationally. So growing yourself individually is, and Anna, you know, had talked about it from the chart perspective. There's you, your partner, and the chart, right? And the energies that come together. And so how do we treat this other entity as a living, breathing organism that we feed and we nurture and we help grow, just like our individual selves? So we have our growth edge individually. How can I grow my inner self and my and how I show up, as well as the system? We call it like the couples coaching is the systematic approach. How is the system working? And how does the system need fueling? How does the system need nurturing? And how does the system need course correcting? And so that it can really thrive, just like a little baby. Think of it, you know, as another baby in your family. So those are some things, and we'll go deeper into some more tools and techniques and ways of exploring relationship that work in the next call as well. And some of you might be wondering, Anna and I, we had discussed this beforehand, if, you know, some of the things that come up in her practice, and Anna, you can take this question. If you
About if do both people need to be into astrology, or if you are in a couple and you're like, I really am interested in this, but does that mean also that my partner has to show up? No, not necessarily. And for a couple of reasons. One is, step one is for you to understand yourself through your own chart. So there you go. Now, where do you have to have permission? You do maybe have to have permission to like access their birth info, but you know, I mean, if that's not accessible or available, I think that's even another level of of something inside of your relationship that may need to be addressed. You know, if they're not sort of open to your own curiosity, you know, that might be something else. But that aside, you can still learn to understand them and be sort of you know, a beacon of that, or just, you know, again, it's not necessary. There'll be a lot of value that comes out of that, even if your partner isn't like present, fully on board. They're kind of like, you know, I'm like marginally interested. What I've found, and this is just a little aside, is I think I would say a lot of my couple sessions, my initial couple sessions, one of them is just along for the ride, and one of them was like, I really wanted to do this. And then the other's like, yeah, I just did it because, you know, he or she wanted to do it. But then they're like, oh, like they start to see like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like, it's not some, you know, just woo woo, like reading my horoscope in the newspaper kind of a thing. So
Right.
in that way, I do think it still opens a door that they don't have to be on board right away, but often they're like, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I could see that. So, you know, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, and I think that that's really interesting. There's always one partner that's more motivated than the other. It's rare to actually find both partners motivated. We, you know, and so it's even in couples coaching, you always have the more motivated partner and the less motivated partner, and it's being able to, and that's okay, and that's okay. You know, it's my job to be able to help the less motivated person and also really hold the more motivated person at the same time. So it's all okay where you are. And it sounds like you're basically saying the same thing. Sometimes it's just fun to do something different in your relationship, and what brings and what comes out of that and what's revealed when you do that.
Totally. Yeah, like, oh, this would be fun. This would be like, you know, I don't know, going to a new restaurant. That's a really lame example, but that's just what I thought of right now.
But in fact, when we do something new, it brings other aspects of ourselves out. So this can bring a whole different discussion out when you look at your relationship through the lens of love astrology. And the same thing, you know, with couples coaching, people said, what if one person's willing to seek out relationship coaching and the other isn't? Well, then, you know, that person, you know, can only do that so long, but can a lot be resolved if one person's willing to do it? Sure. You know, it can be. According to another relationship coach, she said she can, you know, help the relationship about 80% with working with one person. Now, if nobody else is doing work on the other side, we might want to look at, you know, the system, right? Because something isn't working in the system, that one person is having to carry that much weight. But the same thing with relationship and couples coaching, it's being able to explore something to help you move in the direction that you want to move, which for most people is they want to be able to work with the person in front of them because they chose that person. Now, there's also coaching if you decide to separate and be able to gracefully do that, or as amicably do that. That's other skills as well. But, you know, yeah, if again, the people that are doing the work and seeking this out reap the benefit. Because at the end of the day,
Where attention goes, energy flows.
yeah, that is a perfect wrap. Yes. So if you have any questions, I don't see any currently, Anna, but we probably will get them as this post and we'll be able to answer them. And no, I just want to thank you, Anna, for being here. This is so much fun doing this with you. And
Yeah, really, really.
oh,
And thank you everyone who's watching, will be watching, who, you know,
and most of the, sorry, Anna, go ahead. I didn't
I
mean
was
to.
gonna say this is, you know, this is a gift that we get to use, that we get to look at our relationships, that we have the blessing, you know, to do that. That if you're watching this, you know, it's a gift. We're humans. We're here to engage. We're here to love. We're, you know, here to
Yeah.
work through these things.
And just because there's challenges doesn't mean it's the end of the relationship. It just means maybe often it's just our ability to have to learn, or not have to do anything, but invitation to really grow ourselves and evolve ourselves. And as one of my mentors says, a relationship can handle many more differences than we think. It's just, do we know how to navigate those differences? So, yeah. So I'll see you next week, Anna. It was so much.
Great.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.